So I was having technical difficulties. How are you guys doing? Um, yeah, today I thought I don't really have anything planned out other than the last video. I know we mentioned working on something with the ball and balance. And if you don't have a ball, it's okay because you could do it on the floor, standing without the ball. Um, so yeah, I'm going to scoot back just a little bit and get my camera adjusted here, like so. All right. So I thought, yeah, just working on body awareness and balance, like where you have your balance on your sit bones and maybe a little arms too. Yeah, so I want to use the ball. So if you have a ball, that's great. If not, you can stand, right? And we'll do balance that way. Okay, I was just kind of waiting for Susan and maybe Joe before we start. All right. So, what I have started to work on for my writing is kind of paying attention where my weight is on my butt cheeks and my sit bones. So, if you have a ball, make sure your feet aren't up against the ball, holding the ball. You want to set them out just a little bit and pick up one leg. I'm not going to do it first. I want you to pick up one leg. Okay. If you're standing, whichever leg you're going to pick up, shift and pick up one leg. This is going to show you basically which side is more dominant. And for me, it's usually easier to pick this leg up, right? So you can pick it up this way. Although, actually, you know what, for today, well, no, I was going to say, so mine has actually gotten a little bit better. So I think from what I've learned with my clients and stuff, the left side is usually more dominant, right? So the person will want to pick up this leg first because the weight is more on this side, right? And it's like when we're riding, that kind of makes it easier for the right lead, you know, because you kind of sit back on this butt cheek, right? And they go into that right lead. It's always easier for me to sit that lead than it is the left lead. So what we're going to do is we're going to work on picking up each leg. And when you pick up your non-dominant side, so the side that's like harder to do, you don't want to like twist your body to do it. What we're going to work on is tightening the core to keep everything straight. So yeah, just sit. Let's tighten the core. And we're going to lift up this leg. So for me, this is like usually my harder leg to lift. So you don't want the ball to like roll. You're going to tighten your core from inside and lift. And it's probably going to want to move a little bit, but you want to use your core to steady yourself. Yeah, mine's wanting to roll a little bit that way and down. We're going to pick up the other leg, tighten the core. You can use your hands to balance if you want to. It's like we're learning how to not let the ball roll. And that comes from your core, right? Stabilizing yourself with the core. So this has helped me already. So it's just a matter of like paying attention to what your body's doing. If you're mindless, if you're in your mind, you're just going to let your body kind of like shift because you're not using the core. So you want to really get in the habit of like using the core and feel where you are on each butt cheek. Like right now, I feel a lot more even. I don't have more weight on one side. Like I said before, usually my weight is like more on this side. So this is going to help to make you aware, get you in the habit of like really being aware of your core and making sure that your core is engaged. And to me, your core connects your upper body and your lower body together. So if it's not engaged, you kind of become separated, and it kind of makes it where it's like you're not as aware of your lower body as you normally would be. So getting in touch with the core helps you aware of your lower body and like what your legs are doing, where the weight is on your sit bones. So if you're standing, if you don't have a ball and you're standing, let me move this back just a little bit. You can do the same thing. And if you stood and lifted one leg, which leg was it? Was it your right leg or your left leg? Whichever one you lift, the one that you're standing on is like your dominant side. And this is true for me because if you've ever skateboarded or snowboarded, you usually put your dominant side forward. So I'm this way, and most people are this way. If you do this way, you're considered a goofy foot, right? With your left or with your right leg forward. So most people are this way. So if you picked up your right leg, this is your dominant side, right? So you're going to have one that's easier than the other. And for me, it's, if I just think about it, it's like I always want to kind of like shift that way first, right? So we're going to practice that. So you don't want to shift and like, hold your body like that. You want to shift, pick up your leg, feel your core engage when you pick it up. So you want to try to keep your shoulders square, right? Where you're not leaning, where you're really using your core to stabilize your body. If anything, let your ankle float. Like my ankle is kind of floating. So in order to keep my upper body still, I'm letting my ankle float. So the weight's kind of shifting on my feet and it's not affecting this. Okay, so we're going to shift to the other side. So shift, don't let your body twist. You're just shifting your weight. So your whole body shifts with your shoulders, shifts, and you're going to pick up your foot. Almost like as soon as you pick up your foot, you should feel this tighten. Right? You should feel your core engage. Float at the ankle. And down. Are you guys trying this? To meet you and know who's here. And again, if you don't have a ball, just do this standing on your feet. But I'm going to grab my 5 pounds. And actually, maybe I'll get my 8s too. Okay. And what we're going to do is first, before we do lifting a leg, we're going to do we're going to do alternating dumbbell presses, and this is for your shoulder. Again, you don't want your legs up against the ball. You want them farther away. That way you're using your core, and you can kind of pay attention like if your weight shifts. So you're trying to keep even pressure on both sides of your butt cheek. And we're going to start with the upper body, keeping both feet down, but the upper body is going to alternate presses. And what that does, so you're just going to do one side at a time. What that does, when the one side goes up, you're going to feel your core tighten more on one side than the other. So we're just going to kind of go back and forth. And you're not letting this come all the way down. You're kind of keeping it here so it keeps the tension on your shoulders. So we're working shoulders, core, and balance. Try to have a body awareness of like what your butt cheeks are doing too. So when the one arm goes up, you have to tighten your core so the ball doesn't move. Okay, the ball shouldn't be moving underneath you. So if you're pushing up and letting the ball roll, you're kind of taken away from your core. Plus, the goal is to learn how to keep the butt cheeks even across and the same weight on each side. So if you're letting it roll and twist, you're kind of defeating the purpose, because this is to help you to have awareness when you're on your horse and you're riding. Like if you are actually sitting more on one side than the other, if there's more weight on one side than the other. Okay, so we're going to bring it up, get in touch with your core, get in touch with your glutes, and pressing this up, and you're going to alternate back and forth. Pay attention to your core and your glutes. Try to hold the ball as still as you can. You're also focusing on your shoulders too. This is a good multitasking exercise. And just try to get in touch with the inside of your body. So we're focusing on shoulders, core, weight on your butt cheeks. Now let's take this up and just hold it. Pay attention to what your core is doing. Do it on the other side. And good. Okay. How did you guys do? Do you feel like you're sitting on one side more than the other? Yeah, comment below the video. Let me know. Let me know what you noticed. But I feel more balanced already. Sometimes all it takes is just, doing something like this that's going to show you, where you're off, where your balance really is, and then just having that body awareness. So sometimes we get out of practice with that, as I noticed, like I haven't ridden in a couple weeks, but before that, I was riding a little bit, had just started riding for the year, and noticed that I was a little out of practice from not really exercising and then not riding too. So this has helped me already to, just be more aware. And it's just something that I think we have to practice often, especially as we get older, because I think our balance starts to go as we get older. And this just brings the awareness back to the body and paying attention, and gets you inside, gets that core connected. So before we start, get in touch with your core. Pay attention to where the weight is on each glute. Lift your dumbbells up, and we're going to alternate again back and forth. So each time you lift, you should feel your core tighten. It's funny, on this side I'm wanting to do that. So don't let that. It's probably, I don't even know if it's like really noticeable, but I feel on the inside of my body that I'm wanting to do that. And that just shifts me to that butt cheek, right? So even, because the weight wants to naturally go to my left side more. Also focus on your shoulders. You want to be paying attention to your shoulders. Not pushing one up more than the other and twisting your body. Staying in touch with the core. See, I can still feel my left one. So let's bring this up. I'm going to bring it up and hold it. Get in touch with my core a little bit more while I'm holding this up. Trying to think of even pressure across both glutes. Bring it down. Push this one up, same thing, hold it at the top. And that's good. Okay, very good. I forgot to mention this, if you were doing those standing, you would do the same thing. So you would push one side, right? So when you're doing it this way, you're trying to keep even pressure on both feet. It's a little bit different than when you're sitting on the ball, because what we're trying to do is pay attention to where your weight is on your glutes. You could actually do, I'll come closer. You could actually do those in a chair too. So that way you could like pay attention where your weight is on your glutes. Okay. So this next thing that I want to do is same thing. Make sure your feet aren't against the ball, because that makes it where you don't have to use your core to balance as you push the ball up against your legs. So feet are away from the ball. And this one, we're going to use just one dumbbell. And this is I call it a dumbbell pass. So you start over your head and you're going to pass the dumbbell from one arm to another. So you're up here, so you pass it. So you have the dumbbell in this hand, and then you pass it and put the dumbbell in your other hand, and you go back and forth. So this is a similar idea of the one that we just did with the alternating press, right? This one's going to be a little bit harder though, because your arm's coming out farther. So instead of here with the last one that we did, our arm's out a little bit farther and the weight's out here. So it's going to pull more, right? Your lever is longer, it's going to pull more. So it's going to really make you have to engage this in order to keep everything straight. Okay, because if the weight's out here, you know, your body's going to want to roll to keep from falling, right? So I guess it depends on the person, because somebody might roll that way, somebody might roll this way. I would tend to want to go that way. but everybody's a little bit different. So we're trying not to do that though, because when you do that, the weight's shifting to one glute more than the other. And the whole purpose of this is to try to keep the hip bones even and the weight on each butt cheek even. And in order to do that, you have to engage the core. The core is the connector of the upper body and lower body. So without the core, a lot of times we really aren't connected to the lower body and aren't aware of like what the lower body is really doing. So by engaging the core, it helps us to say, oh, wow, I'm wanting to roll to, on one side more than the other. So that's what this is for. It's also for shoulders, core, balance. So we're going to start like this. This is a 5 pound. I used the 5s on the last exercise, and this is a 5 pound for this one. So we're going to go out. So you really feel your core tighten on this one, right? So you're trying to stabilize your body as much as possible. And the only parts that are really moving are at your shoulders. Right? You're going to feel your weight shift though. But you're using your core not to let the ball roll. You can also do this seated in a chair. Right? Just pay attention to where your weight is going. Pay attention to your core tightening, right? Especially when it's out. So start to hold it just a little bit more. This side actually feels easier for me than this side. And good. Okay. How did you guys do with that one? The for me, this one extended was easier than this one. And again, it's because I want to sit heavier on this side, so it's just easier to put that out. When it's on this side, it's like I can feel this side, it's still a little bit lighter than this side, but it's gotten a lot better as far as my awareness of what it's doing. But also, I think this has helped me to kind of balance that out too. So it's getting better. So we're working on that. And like I said, also we're working on shoulders. So let's go ahead and do one more of those. So, and like I said, if you don't have a ball, you can sit in a chair, you can sit on a bench, and just pay attention to like the weight on each glute. Okay. You don't have to use 5 pounds. If 5 pounds is too heavy to hold out there, you can use a bottle of water, which is 16 ounces. Anything just to kind of pass. Is for some people even just like moving their arm out, and not letting their body like want to turn. The goal of it is to get in touch with your core, right? Get that that awareness to the core, so your upper body and lower body are connected. So here we go. Pay attention to your whole body. Like, even we're going to bring the awareness down from the glutes and pay attention to like what your inner thighs are doing, your glutes down into your hamstrings, quads, like whenever I shift the dumbbell. You know, I'm mostly feeling my core, that's my center point, but you're also gonna notice if you pay attention to your whole lower body, like even down to your feet. Like, what is the weight doing on your feet? You know, and is this, see, my body's wanting to do that. It's wanting to do that because that shifts the weight over to the side. So I need to learn to, nope, not let it do that. This is my easier side right there. Right? This is my harder side. So it's all about thinking straight, like your arms in a straight line, shoulders in a straight line, and glutes. Right? See, mine's wanting to do that. So if you can get in front of a mirror, I have my computer. I can't see it clear because I can't see that far away, but I can kind of see enough to see if my body's like twisting. Plus, I'm like in tune with the inside of my body too, and I can feel it. I can feel it. You know, even just that right there. It's just like a little shift, and it's like no, it's like, you know, tightening that core to keep that from happening. Okay. So I want to do some, another thing. Gosh, I haven't tried this in a long time. Probably last year. I'm going to scoot back just a little bit. So this one you kind of do have to have a ball. So you're going to sit more on top of it, and I call this the horse. So you're going to kind of squeeze in. So now you do want to squeeze your legs in, right? Your heels are off the ground. So you're basically balancing with your toes. And what you're going to do is you're going to lift your toes up, and you're going to balance with your core. Yeah, once you get it, then it's like, okay, I got it, like right there. So your feet aren't touching the ground. So you're basically just using your core to balance, to keep you from having to use your toes. So you're not putting your feet down. You're squeezing in on the ball so you can tighten your hamstrings, you can tighten your core. I'm going to stop talking for just a second. And you want to make sure you're not holding your breath. Anything that you do with balance is like holding your breath, cuts off your air. It keeps you breathing off the top of your lungs up here. It creates tension up here and actually in the rest of your body. So that's another thing with like all these things when you're doing it, is to make sure that you're breathing, not just breathing up here, but breathing all the way down, diaphragm breathing. So horses feel that. Horses feel when you're not breathing fully. So if you pay attention to your balance thing, whatever you're doing, if you're just standing on one leg, if you're doing something like this and lifting one leg out, if your balance isn't good, pay attention to what your breath is doing. Because if you're holding your breath, again, that cuts off the air that comes down to help you to balance. It cuts off your lower body. And if you're trying to balance and you're not connected to the lower body because of breathing, because if you're breathing from down here, your breathing is deep, guess what that does? It keeps you in touch with your core, which if you're in touch with your core, it connects your upper body and lower body. And when your upper body and lower body is connected because of your core and your breathing, you're going to be whole, your balance is going to be better. If you're not breathing from down here and you're just breathing from up here, it makes you top heavy. It makes you tense here. It makes you tense in your lower body. And sorry about that. It makes you tense in your lower body too. You know, then we're not as in touch with our legs, and our horses can feel that. They can feel the tension in our legs. You know, so practicing any of these things today, or really any exercise that you do, you should be breathing from down here, right? And depending on the tension that you're working with or the weight that you're working with will determine like how much you're using this. When you're training really heavy, your breath will be more exaggerated, more forceful, I guess is the right word. If you're just doing little balance things, it's going to be softer, but it's still coming from deep, from down here. So the exhale, your belly goes in because you're squeezing that air out. When you inhale, your belly comes out. And it's like it's belly breathing. I think some people call it belly breathing. But if you watch babies breathe from their belly. They don't breathe from up here. And I think as we get older, we tend to start to live up here and forget about our bodies. So that cuts us in too. And that also makes our balance bad. And again, it's like it takes the awareness away from the lower body. And so, yeah, you could be sitting crooked and you don't know it. But your horse usually tells you. Imagine that you have to really be aware of your body. But no matter what kind of riding you do, just having like core strength and like awareness of your body and just getting, like I said, that core connects the upper body and lower body, and just getting that connected so your body is whole is going to change your riding just in itself, because you're going to have more awareness as to what your body's doing. You're going to be more relaxed too and more fluid. So, and your horse feels all those things. So, okay. So so we did the horse. That one's kind of a fun one. We're going to go back to this before we add weights up here. So you're going to pick up one leg. And I have it straight out. And just hold it with your core. We're going to put it down. Make sure your feet aren't touching the ball on this one. You can touch it with the horsey, but on this one you want to keep it away. So use your hands for balance. So I'm focusing on my core. I feel this quad because it's tightened to hold my leg out. I also feel this one. Just pay attention to what your body does to help you balance and hold this. Make sure you're breathing too. A lot of times when we're trying to hold something, we want to like hold our breath. So make sure you're breathing. Okay, so now I want to add some weight. So this is going to make it harder. I'm not going to do the alternating. I'm just going to do dumbbell press both at the same time, just so that'll be a little bit easier since we are picking one leg up. But having a heavier weight up above us is going to make this part a little harder, which is good. I should say challenge. It's going to make it more challenging. So bring your weights up, get your core tight, lift one leg. Mine's wanting to roll a little bit, but I'm tightening my abs. And if you feel like you start to lose your balance, don't keep pressing, kind of like stop, get your balance, refocus, and then do some more. Okay, you're going to feel your quads too. The one that's stretched out straight because it's tightening. The other one's tightening to help. You'll feel your core tighten definitely too, but it's helping to stabilize your body. Okay, you should also be feeling your shoulders, right? So tighten your core. And this one is harder for me today. Okay. See it wobbling. Okay. Whew. Yeah, that one was a little bit wobbly. But I could every time I stopped, I refocused. I really paid attention to my core and tried to kind of stabilize it with my core. Okay, how are you guys doing? If you're watching this after the live replay, just comment below. Let me know. Let me know what you're feeling. Okay. Again, you can do this in a chair too. It's probably not going to be quite the same when you're lifting one leg up if you're in a chair compared to the ball, because the chair is really not going to move. But you can still be aware of your body. Even though you're on something solid, you can be aware to where your weight shifts more. Which actually, yeah, let me just try. Can you guys still see me over here? I just want to try it real quick. I've never really done it on a chair. I've always used a ball. Yeah, it's going to be a lot easier if you're on a chair. But you can still pay attention to where your weight wants to shift more, because a lot of this is core, it's balance. We've done shoulder things basically, but it is about body awareness, what is your body doing, and it's about breath too, breathing. because breathing affects your horse too. Um, yeah, I have a horse that, um, yeah, he kind of resists a little bit more if I'm like not breathing fully. So you know how sometimes if you put pressure on a horse, that pressure, it makes you hold your breath. He'll resist it. But if I can put pressure and still make sure I'm breathing, he's okay. Um, but maybe we can do just with our feet down. Let's do a bicep and a tricep. So I'm switching to 8 pounds. So um, actually, too, another thing you can do if you want to work on your balance a little bit more in a different way, put your feet totally together. And we're just going to extend straight up. This is for triceps, which is the back part of your arm. You know, just be aware of like what your body's doing. Like if it's shifting, like if your weight's shifting. Because balance, this just came to me. I never thought of it this way, but balance isn't about being perfect where you're not moving at all. Sometimes you can be very still. And probably the more you practice it, those times happen more so. But it's like just doing this. Um, I just started doing these exercises. So, like for me, standing on one leg is a little bit easier, right? So I can get to where I can be pretty still doing this because I've done this a lot more, right? And that's my easier side too. um, just make sure you're breathing. But since these are a little newer to me again, you know, I can feel my body like wanting to move, and I can feel um, when I was doing that, I could feel my body wanting to shift. But you know what? That's okay because it's not about being perfect. It's like balance is about staying there and not falling, right? So even if your body's shifting and you feel other muscles trying to help you, like I feel like, you know, she wants to shift this way, and it's like it's about correcting yourself from the inside so you don't like roll off, right? Balance is about not falling, right? So if you're walking and you know you trip on something, balance is about being able to like catch yourself and not fall. You know, that's part of balance. And you do that by like being aware of your body from the inside out. And it's kind of the same with this is yeah, I'm gonna do curls now. So feet and knees all the way together to work on your balance a little bit more. If you need a little more stability, you can go out wider, right? So the wider you go, the easier it's going to be. So if you need a little help, if you're not used to this, go out wider. You're still going to be working your core because what you're sitting on is unstable. So if you want to work your core more, bring your feet all the way together. So we're going to do dumbbell curls now. 15. So I think you could probably hear my breath. So this is the exhale, this is the inhale. Exhale, inhale. Yeah, and I could feel my body shifting a little bit. I could feel my core. Because I think riding too, you don't want to be too stiff and rigid. You want to be where you're sitting. You can feel your body adjusting depending on like what you're doing. Like what I was doing on that one, I can feel like, my legs wanting to tighten to help me from falling. But then once I like caught it, I'd try to relax them. So I was just sitting there balanced, right? Because my muscles were wanting to tighten to keep myself from falling. So you let them tighten, but then you relax them. Because if you keep them tightened all the time, if you were riding, it's like you're going to be tense and rigid, right? So it's like balance is about just think of floating. You're kind of floating. And actually, the Bosu is a good example of that for balance. So when you're on the Bosu, basically you want to break at the ankles, right? And then the goal is to just like stand on here and not fall, right? So if you break at the ankles, your feet float. Your feet float on top. And as long as your feet can move and you're broken at the ankles, you can hold the rest of your body still. Right? And see even like your weight shifts. See how it and I'm kind of like holding that there. Because sometimes your weight will shift more to the other side. But it's like your body's working to keep yourself balanced. And I'm breathing. I'm just letting my breath flow naturally. So I'm not holding my breath. And I have my awareness all the way down to my feet, to the top of my head. And I'm just trying to float there. I'm aware of my core. I'm not like really tightening it. I'm just trusting my balance. Right? My knees are locked, which makes it a little bit harder. If you bend your knees, it makes it a little bit easier. So totally straight knees. You have to really make sure you're broken at the ankles so you're floating. For arms. So it's already an hour. I'm going to go ahead and end this before it gets too long. So thank you guys for coming today. Those of you guys that came, I am going to put this on the Facebook Fit for a Better Ride too. So, and if I do that, I might go ahead and edit it so I can kind of edit out the beginning because we had those technical difficulties in the beginning. So anyway, good to see you guys here, and hope you guys like this. If you do, give it a thumbs up because I really want to try to build this channel and get some of this out there to other people, especially if it helps you. Please share it with other people and give it a thumbs up. And if you're watching this after the live, comment below. Let me know how you liked it. Comment to let me know what you felt. And I'll see you guys next time, okay? Bye-bye.